everyone, my name is Donovan, and tonight I want to share with you a video that a lot of people have been asking me to make, and that is a comparison of the brand new Garmin Vivoactive 4 to one that I've had for a little while. This is the Garmin Forerunner 245, and as you can see right down there, I do have the music version. So before we get into the comparison of these two watches, I did want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor for this video at playbetter.com. So you can pick up products like Garmin watches, Coros watches, soon to, and other golf, fitness, cycling, and outdoor accessories from their store. So check them out in the links down below in the video description. So that being said, let's go ahead and run over the real obvious differences between these two watches. So first and foremost, the price. So the price technically is actually identical. So both come in at $349. Technically, the Vivoactive 4 is available in two different versions, although this version right here, the smaller version, which is basically the exact same watch, the only difference is the size of the watch and the size of the battery. This one's called the Vivoactive 4S. Either way, you're going to be paying $349 for either of these two watches. And over here, the Forerunner 245 Music, the version I have, is also $349. However, there is a non-music version, so basically you just get rid of the music and you can get that one for a little bit cheaper. So if you don't really care about music, obviously the Forerunner 245 non-music version would be a little bit cheaper. So that's the difference there. Alright, so now let's go ahead and get into the obvious differences between these two. So one of the most obvious things is the buttons. So you can see here on the Garmin Vivoactive 4 we have just two buttons, and that's because the majority of the interaction that you're going to have with this watch is through touchscreen. So you can do touchscreen, but then it also uses the two buttons as well. Whereas over here on the Forerunner 245 Music, it's all button based. So we have our light here. This one is our up button, down button, this one's our select button, and then this one's going to be our back button. So we'll go ahead and navigate through. So here we're going to navigate using the buttons, and then if I want to go back, I can just hit back. And then up here, this is going to be a quick button to go ahead and jump into my workouts, which we're going to take a look at in just a little bit. And then up here, if I hold down the light button, that'll also take me into my control panel. And again, I'll just navigate through this using the up and down buttons. So that is how we're going to navigate through on the 245 Music. So there's definitely an advantage, and if when I did a comparison of this watch to the Vivoactive 3 Music, the difference there was the Vivoactive 3 Music was only one button, so there was a disadvantage there, and that you couldn't really do splits with it, whereas here, now that there's two buttons on the Vivoactive 4, you can do splits a little bit easier. So that's first and foremost the number one difference is here we have touchscreen, a lot of interaction with touchscreen, where over here we have button-based interaction. The second difference is kind of obvious, I think, and that is that the Vivoactive 4 is a little bit bigger than the Forerunner 245 Music. And it's not a huge difference, and in terms of weight, you can definitely tell the difference. This one definitely feels a little bit more, I guess, premium is what I would say, whereas this one's definitely more plastic. This one also, I think, looks more premium, so you can see, obviously, we have that metal bezel, whereas over here, this one's 100% plastic. I mean, the buttons are not plastic, but everything else is plastic. Over here the back is plastic, but we have that nice bezel, and you can get it in multiple different colors. So you can already see that 4S comes in a little bit more, I guess, stylish looking color here with kind of like that rose gold accent. So that one definitely is, if you're looking for just style, I would definitely say go with the Garmin Vivoactive 4 there's multiple colors available there as well. So you definitely need to get more style out of the Vivoactive 4. So the question is probably, for most of you, I'm guessing if you're watching this video, there's a good chance that you're probably a runner. And so that's where another big difference happens between these two watches, and that's in some of the running features. So I want to go ahead and show you real quick on the box some of the things that they mention here. So here on the Garmin Vivoactive 4, you can see that they mention 8 hours on smartwatch mode and 6 hours of GPS plus music mode, and 22 millimeter bands. Over here, it doesn't say what size the band is, but it's 22 millimeters, only 7 days on watch mode and 6 hours on GPS plus music mode. So that's a difference in terms of battery life. Honestly, between these two, I've only had this one for 3 days, and I've had this one for much longer, basically since it was launched. But I don't really see a major difference between these two in terms of the actual battery life. And typically, you're definitely not going to get 8 days or 7 days with either of these if you're actually using them to run with, because the GPS and the music definitely takes away from that battery life. And you're looking at more like definitely 2 days. I can easily get 2 days with both of these. If I'm not running a ton, like if I'm only running like 4 or 5 miles a day, then I can definitely get 3 days. But if you're running longer, like maybe 8 to 10 milers, then you're probably only going to get that 2 days of battery life. So just a heads up on there, even though it says 8 and 7 days, that's really saying that if you're not using GPS and music. So that's smartwatch mode only. All right, so now back to the boxes. So notice on here, on this one, so this one's 5 atmospheres water resistant, so is this one, so there's no difference there. But here we have running dynamics and training status and also courses. So those are three things they mentioned here. And over here on the Vivoactive 4, notice that that is not on here. However, they have other all-day health monitoring. So they have body battery, respiration, stress, and then they both have wrist-based heart rate and pulse ox. So let's go ahead and talk about the running features between these two. So I'm going to go ahead and go into a workout, and we're going to go into run. Okay, so now we want to go up to options because that's where we're going to see the differences. So here we can go into run settings, and we got data screens. That's no different there, so I'm not going to go there. Actually, no, let's go back because there's alerts. So this one has alerts, and it also has metronome. So alerts is going to let you know if you're out of your heart rate zone, and it does like a beep. So if you're familiar with Garmin watches that beep at every mile, it'll give you that beep, and it'll tell you that your heart rate's too high or heart rate's too low, or your pace is too high, pace is too low. But you can set that up, and then also metronome. So that's going to give you the ability to try to keep up your turnover, basically. So that's what a metronome is for. And then we do, of course, have auto lap, which is also available here. So that's the difference there. We have metronome, and then we also have those alerts available here on the Forerunner 245 music, and then we can set up some training workouts, also navigation. So that's not really much difference there. But back over here on the Vivoactive 4, so we'll go ahead and go into run, and again, this one's going to be touch based. And then in order to get to those extra settings, we're going to slide up. So, and that's another thing, the touchscreen here, it's always hard to kind of figure out. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have workouts, training calendar, and then we have settings. So that's where I want to show you. So we can set up our data screen. So that's going to tell you like different things. So you can see what a data screen looks like. So I have it set up so I have distance, heart rate, pace, and then a timer on my main watch face while I'm running. We have alerts here as well. So that is also available, but there is no metronome. Okay, but this one is not an audible alert. I should mention that. Unless you have headphones in, then there's an audible alert. The auto lap is also audible through headphones as well. So we have auto pause, auto scroll, GPS. Okay, so you can adjust the accent, color, and background, things like that. So that's really not very meaningful. All right, so far there's not a huge difference. This one has metronome and it has audible alerts, whereas this one only has audible alerts if you're wearing headphones. So that's not a huge difference, but the biggest difference comes in here in Garmin Connect. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the Connect IQ app. So get out of that, and here it is. All right, so we're in Connect IQ. So this is the app that both of these watches use, of course, and every Garmin watch uses. And the biggest difference here is right in here in this training status option. So I'm going to go ahead and go into training status. And notice that it says 2 devices available. That's because I have 2 watches that actually track this training status. So I can go here and you can see the 2 that I have that track the training status. Notice that this one doesn't have it, and that's because it doesn't support, if we go back over here onto the box, it doesn't support the running dynamics and the training status. So training status is basically going to give you an idea of where you're at in terms of your training load. So you can see here right now it just says I'm productive, and then it has a 7-day training load, and it's going to let you know where you're at. So during these portions right in here, I was using actually a Coros watch, which I'll be reviewing on Friday, the Coros Vertex, doing my final review there. So that's why it looks like I wasn't running at all, but I was. And so that's going to give you the training load. It's going to let you know if you're overtraining, undertraining, if you're improving your VO2 max. It's going to give you a lot of information that you're not going to get over here. So here you're going to get GPS, you're going to get music, so you can listen to music, and of course you can get your, this is an interesting one. This one has an altimeter, so a barometric altimeter, not over here. So that's really weird that they don't include that on the Forerunner 245 music. If you want that, you're going to have to either get the 645 or the 945. So a little bit more expensive, but they have it over here on the Vivoactive 4. And what that's going to tell you is your elevation change over the course of a workout. So this one will give you elevation changes, but it's not going to be as accurate because it doesn't have that altimeter that you get on the Vivoactive 4. But it does give you a lot more information about where you're at in terms of your training. So that's available both on the Phoenix line, the Forerunner 245 Music, and any Forerunner watch. Even the Forerunner 45 has that available as well. So those are the main differences, and ultimately it comes down to, do you want something that's more of a smartwatch, or do you want something that's more very runner-centric? Personally, the way I see it, this one is kind of marketed more towards the masses. So if you're a runner, this really has most of the features you're going to need. If you're just an average runner that's running maybe 4 to 5 miles a day or even less than that, or even more than that, to be honest with you. But if you're a competitive runner and you really want to know where your training's at, and you want to really have better stats on your running, I definitely think the Forerunner line's a little bit better. Another thing I will mention that is available on the Vivoactive 4, which obviously is something that doesn't affect me at all, but right over here we do also have the ability to track your menstrual cycle, which is not available over here. So again, the difference between these two watches is really ultimately, are you more running focused? Because if you're strictly a runner, I definitely think the Forerunner is probably the better option, especially if you're a super competitive runner. But if you're an average runner that's just going out for, an average, 5-6 mile run, you're not worried so much about doing a lot of workouts, then I would say the Vivoactive 4 is a great watch for you. Ultimately, for me, I personally prefer the Forerunner 245 Music. I definitely prefer the button-based versus the touchscreen, because you can see how the touchscreen sometimes, it's not always the most responsive. It's a little bit slow at times. But the 245 Music, the buttons are always, of course, responsive, and it gives you a little bit more information about your workout. So anyways, let me know what you guys think. If there's anything I missed maybe in this video, let me know down in the comment section. Thanks for watching. I hope this video has been helpful for you, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.